appraisers need something that looks at the exterior of the property, right? That there are apps currently right now that will do the interior and then extrapolate the exterior measurements.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Welcome to the program, everybody. Dustin Harris hanging out once again in the podcast chair. Thank you for joining us on either the audio feeds or YouTube. If you've not reached out to us on YouTube, if you're listening now, when you get back to your computer, check us out, youtube.com, and just type in the Appraiser Coach. We, of course, are sponsored today by A La Mode. A La Mode has sponsored us from the very beginning. We love them. Check them out, alamode.com or 800 A La Mode, and OREP. OREP is the E&O that I choose to use. You should be as well. OREP.org. That's OREP.org. I want to welcome back to the program a friend of the program, been on a couple of times, Mr. Joel Baker. He is the Senior Professional Product Solutions at A La Mode. Just celebrated your 20 years at A La Mode. Can you believe that? 2 decades, my friend. Welcome.
It has been a while.
Very cool. And, you and I go back many, many years as well. I think I've known you ever since I started doing coaching, which I started in 2010. So it's been kind of fun to get to know you over the years. I know you've got this really cool title, the Senior Professional Product Solution, but can we just call you the resident geek there at A La Mode?
Absolutely. I'm sort of like the appraiser advocate.
There you go.
Here within the organization.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I love the fact that that there's kind of a go-to guy that gets it, right? That understands both sides, the appraisal side, the tech side, to kind of bridge that gap. Speaking of which, talk to us about what's going on at A La Mode. What's new?
Oh, we got some new products that we've had over the last few years. Many of you know the Quick Source product, which came out a couple of years ago, public records, peer data, all that kind of stuff. We've got 2 new products that are in the middle of a rollout right now, though.
Okay, this is exciting. This is fun. Okay, tell us.
So we've got Schedule Assist. Schedule Assist uses, it connects with your Google or your Microsoft online calendar. It reads when you're available, when you're not. You can go in and the appraiser goes in and configures, settings for when their office hours are, when their inspection hours are. And of course it's connected inside of Total, even though it's a web-based product, it's connected inside of Total. And so as you're filling out the order form and everything, and it's time to make the appointment, the appraiser fires up Schedule Assist out of the order form. And if they've got the homeowner on the phone or the inspection contact, they can walk through and schedule it right there and communicate that and send them text messages. There's an SMS function built in. If say you need to schedule an appointment and like it's 9 or 9:30 or whatever, you can schedule it to send the text message the following morning.
Okay.
But the text message is actually there's an algorithm. One of the neat pieces of it of Schedule Assist is that it knows where you're going and when, and you can, you set, I need 50 minutes for this appointment, and this is a drive-by, so I need 20 minutes or whatever. And it knows where you're going and how long you're going to spend there based on the complexity that you specify when you do this.
Really? Okay. So if if you think you're gonna be there a half hour, you think no, this is a big one, I'm going to be here an hour, you can put that information in.
Mm-hmm. And it knows, and then it of course connects to your Google or your Microsoft calendar, so it's on your phone and you know who it is and the contact number and all that kind of stuff. But the real secret sauce of this is because it knows where you're going to be and how long you're going to be there, it actually suggests to you, one of the big options is it suggests to you the best, most efficient drive time. So if you can opt for, like, if you're doing rush orders or whatever, you can opt specifically for first available. But a lot of the folks that are using it right now for efficiency, especially if you've got a larger geographic area, you can specify fastest drive time. And even if your schedule, even if you got like a 2-hour block open tomorrow, but you're going to be in that other area on the following day, it'll probably suggest a time slot adjacent to one of the other times when you're going to be in that area, that sort of thing. And it figures out what the drive time is between your office, and you set your starting point for the day and the starting time and all this. There's lots of ways you can really dial it in for the suggestions.
Okay.
Right. And now hold on.
All right.
The kicker is it suggests to you, the appraiser, what could possibly be the best drive, based on drive time, the best like 5 options or whatever.
Right.
You can set up to 10, for the suggestions. But let's say that you want to not have to deal with the back and forth with the homeowner or the inspection contact. I can't do that. What about this? I can't do that. What about this? Can you do it? Can you come out at 8 o'clock on Sunday night kind of business, right?
My favorite time to inspect.
Of course, appraisers love 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon.
Right,
it's perfect time for an inspection during the game or whatever. No, I totally get that. So one of the options is actually to send a what we call the magic link to the homeowner. Text them a link. The inspection contact taps the link. It opens up in the web browser, Chrome or Safari or whatever, and it shows them times that they can choose from. Now, here's the thing. Those are the times that the algorithm predicts are the best for you. So it gives the inspection contact this sense of control and makes it obvious that you're not going to be out there 5 o'clock on Saturday or 8 o'clock on Sunday or whatever, right? So it gives them a sense of control, but it still opts for times that are appropriate and best for you as the appraiser. And of course, it's all built into Total. And I should say this. This is it, we're in the middle of rolling it out to basically everybody that's elite. It comes with the elite system now. Nothing extra for to add it to elite. And everybody should have it hopefully in the next week.
Okay.
I should say everybody who's elite. So
by the time this airs, it'll definitely be live.
Yep.
Very cool. Okay, so I have to throw a little wrench in. All of this sounds super cool, my friend. But I keep thinking comp pictures. How does that work?
Absolutely. And it's not just comp pictures. It's also like I said, the drive-bys, right? When you don't need to have an inspection contact necessarily, right?
I mean, can you plug that in there as well, and it can figure all that out?
We're working on something specific to comp photos. Okay. So it's in our backlog to work on that.
Sure.
We got to get some of the bigger stuff first, like the newest thing is the Microsoft integration, right? Okay. That's a big fish to go after.
Well, you can't have it all. You can't have it all today, right?
One of the things that when you talk about comp photos, in my mind, there's obviously 2 main ways of doing it. You do comp photos on inspection, or you can do comp photos after. The piece that I just mentioned that we're working on that was in our backlog is the after piece. Okay. The current piece, we assume and ask specifically how much time do you need for the subject and to drive the neighborhood for the comps. So that's all plugged into the algorithm currently.
And what I'm also thinking, not to if you can do a drive-by, why can't you put comps in as quote unquote drive-bys? Meaning, there's many times in Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, where I work, right? And driving the neighborhood is not the neighborhood, if you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely. Neighborhood, market area. We could have a whole series of conversations about that, man. That's no, I get you. So what we've got right now is the folks that are beta testing this for us are creating orders for that purpose. But we should build for that, I think. Yeah, we really should. Cool. I mean, you sure you could do it, but let's just build for it. So
yeah, we've sounds good. Just call it the appraiser coach feature. I like that. Okay,
you got it. Yeah.
All right. You said you had 2 things coming up. What's the second?
Oh, this is the one that I get the most questions on, actually, and it is the LiDAR piece in total for mobile. So we've been sort of demoing this and talking about it for about a half a year. I think my first class on it when I interviewed our product owner, Kevin Chung, who's an appraiser out of New York. He's our product owner for Total for Mobile. It's really great to have an actual appraiser who's
that's great.
Not only appraises but actually
right.
makes it work better. Anyway, I interviewed him and we demoed it. So we turned around. We realized a few months back that it wasn't accurate enough, and it wasn't really what appraisers we thought were looking for, especially compared to other more popular, I should say, solutions in the market that are more popular right now. Ours isn't out, so it's not even in contention yet. We'll see what happens. And it turns out that appraisers need something that looks at the exterior of the property, right? That there are apps currently right now that will do the interior and then extrapolate the exterior measurements. But most appraisers walk, especially in residential, they're going to walk the property. Sure. They're going to look at everything, and they're going to take their iPad with them, take their pictures, and all this kind of stuff. And there's a couple of technologies in the Apple hardware software complex, if you will. I won't get into the details of them, but there's a couple of technologies that utilize the LiDAR hardware on the mobile device. And we decided to we wrote for one, and it wasn't necessarily as accurate as we liked. So we had we called them scanning parties, where we had like 15, 20 of our employees go out to a house, and everybody was like measuring it. I had my disto and my wheel, my tape, like for real.
Wait, they still make those?
They do. Yeah, I actually had to buy the tape.
That's funny. Yeah.
So I've got one now. Never had one, but I wanted to tape it just to see what would happen, and of course use the disto for it, and it just wasn't as accurate as we were wanting. We had spreadsheets and ran statistical analyses on all of it. We're like, appraisers aren't going to like this. So we stepped back and we wrote for the AR interface, augmented reality interface, still using LiDAR on the device, but it tends to be a lot more accurate. So step one, which is what's coming out either later at the end of this month. This is June, so either late June or early July. We're in final testing of this right now. Okay. The appraiser basically goes through and they basically tap on where the points are. It guesses, but the appraiser can choose where the points are, so they can bypass features that are not, GLA as an example. Sure. Like on porches when there's, you guys know what you run into. And we have written some stuff to help appraisers square off, because the big dirty secret in appraising is for measuring, I guess, is that it's when you get around to the other side of the house,
don't say
you're off by like 4, 5, 6 inches, right? And of course the reason is because none of us know a builder who would even recognize a right angle if they ever accidentally ran into one on a job site.
I hear you. Yeah.
Right. So, so we wrote some into the software to sort of help square up the sketch on the last wall drawn. We even have an auto close like in the rest of the software. But the real kicker for this is that it immediately places the sketch in the drawing space for the appraiser instantly, so they can compare against public records. If you've got the property record card, you make changes to it, you can then go inside and drop in the room labels and take the photos and all that kind of stuff. So it's super fast. I mean, like you can do a 3,000 square foot house literally just walking around it in 2 minutes. It's really slick. It is really slick.
Yeah, love this. Very, very cool features coming out. One of the great things about Alamode is you don't just have great technology coming out, but you also help to educate appraisers. Talk to us a little bit about what's coming up that we talked about before we went live. This is exciting.
It is. I'm actually really excited about this. I haven't done a live road show since the February of 2020.
Okay.
At which I was doing them with the Columbia Institute when Alamo became part of CoreLogic. But now we're gonna start doing a road show again. I'm gonna have one here probably at the end of September, early October.
Okay. Here,
We're gonna make
Oklahoma.
here. I'm sorry.
City.
Yes, here in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
And just sort of as it's like a test run. I'm in the process of getting approval again for my classes for CE. So we hope to have
okay, cool. So
a
this
2-day event with 14 hours of CE. Yeah.
Very cool. Love it. For somebody who's, I've been to a road show. It was many years ago. In fact, I think it's the first time you and I actually met in person in Salt Lake. Absolutely loved it. But for those who have not been to it or don't really know what, just briefly describe what is a road show.
Oh, a road show is, well, the best part of it is it's practical. So I'm not a big fan of seminars with lots of PowerPoints. So as an example, the second day of my road show is typically all about total for mobile, 7 hours of total for mobile. And we have a little bit of theory, like right at the beginning about work files and going paperless and digitization and all that kind of stuff. But then the rest of the day is practical. Here's a solution. Here's how I solve it. And it's demonstrated with my iPad live in front of everybody. There's no PowerPoint slides. It's all practical application. And in fact, there's a 2-hour block near the end where all the appraisers in the room, they bring their own devices, your iPhone or your Samsung tablet or whatever you've got. And we all walk through hands-on, because I have my technicians peppered throughout the room. We walk hands-on through a couple of sketches, one of which is a multi-level, 6,000 square foot property with cutouts and multiple angles and open to belows and curves, the whole 9 yards. And we just walk through the process. So everybody who comes will have drawn a 6,000 square foot property with angles and curves and cutouts and open to belows. It's just, it's sort of like drinking from a fire hose, but it's all about the tech and all about the individual features that you all use on a regular basis or could use on a regular basis. And the goal is to have everybody who comes leave with a list of 3, 4, 5 specific things they're going to change in their workflow to make themselves more efficient, to do the work faster, basically, so they can either have time off or do more work.
It's the epitome of workshop. Really, really cool, hands-on. Everybody should look at that opportunity.
Thank you.
We're speaking with Joel Baker. He is the senior professional of product solutions at Alamo. Been with Alamo just over 20 years. I've been with Alamo a little longer than Joel has. I've been with them about 28 years. Of course, they've been in the marketplace for many, many years, helping appraisers to be more efficient, to be more effective, to do things the right way. Folks, if you are with any other software, please take a look at Alamo. Give them a call. You will get a live person. If you call during business hours, 800 Alamo, talk to a live person who will walk you through why Alamo is different than the rest. Or you can also go to their website, great videos, training videos, and sales videos that will allow you to see the features at alamo.com. Again, that's alamo.com or 800 Alamo. We are sponsored today, of course, by OREP Insurance. Folks, speaking of education and great education, one of the great benefits of E&O through OREP that's different than the other companies out there is that they offer you education. And we're not talking just about education about insurance. We're talking about real appraiser education that you can count for CE for free. Check that out. OREP.org. Check out the benefits page and you'll find out more about their free 14 hours of education. It's OREP.org, OREP.org. And welcome back to the program, everybody. We're hanging out with Joel Baker, my friend from Alamo. Welcome back, Joel. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Dustin.
It is always a pleasure, my friend, to see you and to talk with you. We've talked about a la mode and some of the changes that are happening in a la mode. Let's kind of divert a little bit and just talk in general. A couple questions I'll just throw out. We'll just kind of do a hodgepodge here. We talked earlier about that, that ancient roller measure thing, that 100-foot tape. I think most appraisers at this point, when I started doing education, Joel, I was in a room of about 300 people in Las Vegas, and I was giving a presentation, and I asked people to raise their hand. Remember, 300 people in that room. I asked them to raise their hand how many were using laser measures. Now, this was probably 2012. 6 hands went up. 6. I recently did another educational opportunity experience at a conference, about 350 in the room, asked the same question. I think there were 6 that didn't raise their hand. But
wow.
Yeah, so a lot of people, a lot of appraisers are using lasers. What's been your experience? The question I get a lot is which laser, like which brand, which model? What are your thoughts?
Oh gosh, I so many. You can imagine I'm pretty opinionated about about the hardware. One of the things that Alamo did for me back in 2012 when I was doing the Mobile Roadshow is they let me buy several $1,000s worth of Distos and Stanleys and DeWalt's and Bosches and whatnots, right?
Fun.
Yeah, it was great. And so you got to try them all out. And I've still got most of the Distos. I have literally none of the other devices left. They've all managed to break in the intervening years, which might tell you where I'm probably going to go with this.
Okay.
We do recommend the Distos. I personally, but also as a company, Alamo recommends the Disto brand because of the build quality, but also because of the feature set. And so often my question is, well, the question I get is which Disto, not just which to buy, but which works with Total for Mobile,
right?
And specifically the integration in the Bluetooth. And I have to say that the answer is disappointing. At the very least,
okay.
and that's because the Bluetooth technology stack inside of the Distos is not what it once was, and it is not what an appraiser expects.
Okay.
So as an example, ideally, so I've got my iPad right here, right? So if I'm using Total for Mobile, and I measure with the Disto, it beams the number to my pad. I still have to open the pad. I have to swipe in the direction and hit enter to anchor it in place, and then go back and make the next measurement with my Disto.
Right. Where before you were able to just hit the arrow buttons.
Yeah. Right. That was the 330i, which you can still buy, by the way.
Okay.
If you've got an Android tablet or phone and you've got the 330i, that generally still works.
Okay.
But you can they haven't been made for like 7 years, but you can still find them on eBay.
Yeah.
The one that appraisers use the most is the E7500i, E7500i. It's what most appraisers use. It has the most Bluetooth functionality. It doesn't have all of what you expect. But one of the things that the E7500i does specifically is it transmits the resultant of most of the calculations that it can make.
Got it.
What I mean by that is I want to compare just briefly with like the D2, the new version of the D2 or the D3. What happens is you make a measurement and then you hit the plus and you make another measurement, right? You're making a multiple calculation or you're staking out or whatever, right? Or you just do the subtraction or you do the Pythagoras method or you do the smart horizontal, right? Any of those where you're doing indirect measurements, it has to do a calculation on the device and it shows you on the device. And the E7500i transmits that calculation. The D2, the D3, the X4, they don't. They don't. They whatever the last measurement was is what gets transmitted, and it's frustrating because then you just lose all the real Bluetooth technology.
Right. Yeah. Why even hook up?
Benefit, right? You might as well, because you can just type it. You're gonna have to delete it and then type it in, so it's actually longer to.
Right.
It's just kind of frustrating. So we have made phone calls over the years with the Leica folks, and they may eventually put in their Bluetooth technology, this functionality that they used to have. But we'll see.
Okay.
It's if you're going to use Bluetooth, the E7500i is great. If you're not, probably the X4 is the way to go. That's generally what I mentioned.
That's the one I have. Yeah, I use the X4, but you're right. I don't use the Bluetooth functionality because it sucks. Just to be frank, So it's good news that possibly they're working on that. If that happens, Joel, call me. Come back on this program. We'll make sure everybody knows about it.
You won't be able to miss it because I'm going to make about 15 tech tips on it, and those come out every week.
For sure. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. All right. Final question, my friend. Let's talk about other apps. Obviously, when we talk about appraiser apps on your phone, whether it's Android or iPhone, the one that comes to mind obviously is Total for Mobile. But what are some other apps that appraisers are using out there?
Yes. So obviously the big one is Dropbox, and I've preached Dropbox for years. I've moved away from Evernote, moved away from
I love Evernote.
OneDrive. I know Evernote just sort of.
It's not good for file
I do a whole
transfer.
class on this. It is not. They have gone well beyond the scope of what they intended.
Yeah.
And were initially. And so Dropbox it's a thin slice of what Evernote does, and it does it just really well. And it has the integrations. So I actually, anything that most appraisers would do in Dropbox, you can pretty much now do with Total for Mobile. Like there's a work file built into Total for Mobile. So if you add the property record card or the zoning information or the order or the contract or whatever to the work file on the desktop software, you can access that on the mobile device. And so one of the things that I do recommend for that type of thing to access and edit PDFs in the field out of the work file is the free Adobe Acrobat or Acrobat Reader or whatever it's called, the free one. So you can actually, from within Total for Mobile, you can open that PDF, draw on it with your finger or your stylus and make handwritten notes on it. And then you click the back button. It doesn't look like it does, but it does. It actually saves it back into the work file in Total for Mobile. And then, of course, that syncs automatically back to your work file and backs up to your file storage and everything. It's a seamless integration, and the Adobe Acrobat is one to use. And I've got some tech tips on that for those of your listeners who want to actually see that in action.
Very cool.
The third one would be Copilot GPS.
Okay.
Which
I've heard of this.
Copilot is we may write something for this.
Okay.
But Copilot, we've got driving directions inside of Total for Mobile for the file you're in.
You're right.
Copilot is useful for when you have multiple jobs with 3 or 4 addresses for a particular day, and it will route you efficiently based on the addresses that you plug in. And so you can sit there and speech to text, say the address, speech to text, say the address, and after like 70 seconds of speaking the 15 properties that you've got to visit for the comp photos and the 3 subjects that you're doing and the 1 drive-by, you just speak those in there, and it goes right out, and even using traffic will give you driving directions, the most efficient route. Copilot GPS.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that and all the information that you brought to us today, Joel. Always exciting things happening at Alamode. One of the things I love about your company is they're constantly in R&D mode, constantly reaching out to real appraisers, boots on the ground, right, and talking to them about needs and wants and developing things. It's just great to see new developments and change and technology that'll make us more efficient. Thank you, Joel Baker. Appreciate you being here, my friend.
My pleasure, Dustin. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.